It's Stace here from Sacred Art and Story, and I thought I would pop in today and talk a little bit about paper mache making because I have been having a moment in my studio lately where I've been making a lot of these funny little angels out of paper mache. And I've been learning a lot about how to work with paper mache in a way that, one, is just more enjoyable than sort of the old fashioned flour and water, and you get super goopy and kind of, mucked up, and it just isn't quite so fun. But also, I think in a way that kind of working with all these materials started to feel a little bit more like doll making for me, where it wasn't like I was creating a form and just sort of following that. I was really kind of working with all the materials, the paper and the wire and everything else that I was doing in a way that just sort of allowed this really sort of intuitive doll making to happen, but with the paper mache. So, all of this actually started when I learned about this stuff called methyl cellulose. And this is something that you can use to make a paper mache glue instead of flour and water or flour, water, and glue. And I learned about it and I thought I would try it, and it has become kind of my favorite way of doing any kind of paper mache. Methyl cellulose is like a plant compound, I guess. It's really, I think, made out of either cotton or wood, but it is a safe product that you can kind of mix up with some hot water. I usually do like a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half with 2 cups of warm water, or 500 milliliters of water. And it kind of takes a minute just to sort of get it all mixed up, and it'll sort of dissolve away, after a bit. And then you want to let it sit for about an hour before you use it, but it turns into like a gelatin. And it is so much cleaner than flour and water. Like, have you ever done that where you've used paper mache and your hands are so goopy, like you can't even pick up your cup of tea? And I always have a cup of tea nearby. So this stuff is just sort of clean. You just kind of wipe it off and just do whatever you need to do. And the cool part about it too is that it will like stick around for a really long time. Like, as long as you keep it in an airtight container, it will last in there for months, and you don't have to worry about it getting moldy or anything. And that's important to me because I tend to kind of create in layers, especially with doll making. I might realize that something needs a little touch up, or maybe it needs sort of adding something more on where I need to kind of get all the paper wet and kind of get on there and add a whole nother layer to it, because that's just how I create. I don't know who I'm creating yet as I create these dolls. And so I kind of listen and follow along. And so having the glue ready to go, and I don't have to keep making more, has just made the whole process so much more enjoyable for me. So that's been like a game changer for me. And I never heard of this stuff before. So I thought I would pass that on if you want to make some of that too. But the other thing that I think has just been really interesting, particularly with sort of knowing that I can kind of work with the materials in a different way, is that I just feel like I'm sort of creating something that feels more like how I normally just make dolls, because there's wire in these things and I'm using clay faces, and I don't want it to be just a form that I've made out of like a cardboard form. I want it to sort of feel really organic and to feel like I'm sculpting something. And I like this kind of gooey stuff, this methyl cellulose goo with the paper, because I really can kind of form it in a way that just sort of feels like my hands kind of start creating something here. And that just feels more natural for me. And I really loved sort of how every single one of these little dolls that I've started to create, these angels, just has their own personality. And of course, I get to add my quirky little clay faces and, and all of it. So, I mean, they got funny little feet too. So I have really loved the paper mache thing, and I feel like it's sort of becoming a new favorite thing, mostly because I've really learned some different materials to use with it. And I'm going to be sharing all of this in a workshop. So if you're looking at these and you're thinking that'd be fun to make, I am doing a live online workshop with folks. I think it starts in August, but we're going to be making these funny little angels together. It is a make along, so that I'm going to kind of work with you as we do it, and you can kind of work on your own as well. But yeah, we're doing everything from the faces to the bodies to the wings to the funny little feet. So it's going to be super fun. And you might just make a little angel you can hang on your wall who's going to become your most favorite little angel. So I'll put the link below so you can join me. But yeah, if you haven't tried paper mache in a while because you've been like, ugh, flour and water and goo and mess, it doesn't feel really fun, try the methyl cellulose, and I bet you'll like it because it really has sort of been a game changer for me. All right, have fun.